Well, hi, everybody. It's Yvonne DiVita from BlogPaws, and we're doing another fantastic hangout on Google+. Glad to see so many people. We saw a lot of response to this, and we have some really fantastic guests this week. One of our favorite people is here. That would be Denise Wakeman, who came to the conference last year and spoke. She's an old friend of ours and knows lots and lots about social media in general, but she is also now one of our go-to people for Google+ Hangouts. And then we have Jim Burwell. Welcome, Jim. And
Hey.
He's going to talk to us about how he uses Hangouts in a really unique way, and it's very relevant to our pet community. And then we have Leila, who is Jim's wife.
Hello.
Welcome, Leila.
Thank you.
And she's going to contribute also on the uniqueness of how to use Google Hangouts for yourself and for your business. And that's kind of our topic today. We're also lucky to have Rachel and Simone. And
Hi.
they are actually clients of Jim's, and you're going to hear from them, and he's going to tell you more about them. And what I would like to do now is let each of our guests just take a minute or two and introduce themselves further. And we'll start because I'm seeing in my little I guess it's a video strip of some sort. I see Denise first. So let's let Denise say hi.
Hello, I'm Denise Wakeman. I am an online business strategist, and I work primarily with solopreneurs and professionals and small business owners to help them leverage the web with social marketing and blogging. Blogging is how I met Yvonne, those many years ago. It seems crazy to think about, but I'm so glad that we've reconnected in a more active way. And I am a Google fangirl. I love Google+. I love Google Hangouts, and I'm really excited to be here today. So thank you for the invitation.
You're welcome, and we're happy that you're here also. Jim, I can't wait to hear more about you.
All right. Well, I guess I'm next. Well, I'm Jim Burwell, and I'm a professional dog trainer in Houston, Texas. I've been dog training for just about 30 years here. So started off working out of my house, and now I'm back at my house. In between that, I founded a multi-million-dollar pet resort, so I've seen every aspect of dog training, and I really love fixing behavior problems that dog owners have with their dogs. And so that's mainly what I do. I work with folks in the home, and I found a way to work Google Hangouts in that process. And so I'm excited to talk to everybody about that and can't wait. Thanks for inviting me.
Well, thank you. I can't wait to hear more about that. And Leila, I'm like, Tom and I work together, and we're married. And tell us a little bit about what that's like with Petiquette Dog and how things work at your end.
Well, it actually works out very well. I was in corporate America for years and always hated it. And when Jim and I got married about 10 years ago, I started working with him, and I just love it. And my job is just to talk to all the prospective clients and help them understand what's going on. I don't tell them how to fix it because I'm not the dog trainer, but I give them a sense of what's going on and that it is fixable. And then we either set up in-home lessons or a lot of times we set up hangouts because we can, do those also. So I love it, and I don't ever have to put on high heels again.
Well, you'll have a lot of fans in our community because many of us came from corporate America in one way or another, and now we're doing what we're really passionate about. Right. And there's a lot of different ways to do it, which is what we're going to talk about tonight. So, right. Rachel, you're a client of Jim and Leila's, and just tell us a little bit about your dogs.
Well, I was a student of his. I've always loved animals, so I decided a little while ago, after about 10 years of working in kennels with dogs, to be a trainer. So I started looking around, found out about his school, and I got into his school. And then now I'm a trainer at Red Bluff Pet Resort in Deer Park, Texas.
Wow, that's a great success story. We like to hear things like that. We're so happy that you're here.
Well, thank you.
So Simone, now
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about you and your pets and your relationship to Jim and Leila.
Okay, hi, my name is Simone. I called Jim originally because I was having problems with my dogs fighting each other, which was very scary. And so that's how I came to have to try to find a dog trainer, and that's how I met them.
So I think I saw in a note you shared with me that your dogs actually had been together for a while, and then they started fighting. Is that right?
Yes, I had a lot of dogs for about 3 years, and everything went great, and then all of a sudden they started fighting.
Wow. So Jim, what was your
Yes.
first reaction when Simone came to you?
Well, Leila talked with her first off and sold her on Hangouts. And as I know that all dog behavior is stress related, and so it's and then when you look at that, it's either the environment the dog lives in or the relationship the dog has with its owners. And so when you extrapolate that, then it's something either owners are doing or not doing. And so in the case of many folks that have dogs that fight amongst themselves, sibling rivalry, if you want to call it that,
Hmm.
then it's usually due to a lack of structure. So with no structure in the home and no leadership, dogs tend to bicker and fight amongst themselves. They tend to resource guard the love and affection that an owner gives a dog, and so and then or they're fighting for pack status or something like that. And so there's a whole list of things that dogs would fight over, and but usually the top two are resource guarding, owner's love and affection, or pack status, and those are the two biggies. And so it's all about getting the owners right in their own mind and taking a different look at how they interact and structure their relationship with their dogs.
So whose idea was it, yours or Leila's, to do Hangouts and turn this into something that you could actually facilitate online?
I have to give all the credit, 110% of it, to Leila. She found out about Google Plus and Hangouts, and our lives have never been the same.
So Leila,
Yes, ma'am.
Leila, yeah, you're the brains behind the outfit then, huh? So
Yes.
Yeah, well, you know, it's easier for me. Jim is out training all day, and I'm here in the house and I'm on the internet. I honestly do not remember how I found out about Hangouts. I think I don't really remember. I think Denise had something to do. I think I watched something that Denise did because I've followed
probably.
Denise for years. And I started seeing what people were doing, and I thought, oh my goodness, this would be perfect. Absolutely perfect. And I said to Jim, you know, all these people that call us from England and Alaska and Canada that want help, and I said, this is a way to help them. So I got really
Wow.
excited about it.
Yeah, I could see that. And Denise,
Yeah.
I think that's why you're so popular, because here you are. You really embraced Google Plus and Google Hangouts. And I have to say that I'm a latecomer. Tom was much more interested in this than I was in the beginning. But we're seeing a lot of positive results. And to have someone who's a dog trainer do this internationally, it sounds like. Have you seen other people using Google Hangouts in unique ways?
Well, I think this is probably the most unique way that I've seen it, and I'd actually love to see how they do it, you know, like be a fly on the wall at one of their training sessions, or maybe you do some public demonstrations or something, because I'd love to see how that works. But I've been working with a lot of people on creating, you know, different ways that they can use Hangouts, and I have one client who actually is working to bring Google Hangouts to nonprofit organizations in her niche, and to bring them into the kind of in real life area, so that she's helping them broadcast to a new audience from a live conference. So think of BlogPaws doing Hangouts at the BlogPaws conference and selling, say, a live stream ticket so that you could bring in another form of revenue or something like that. So we're working together to create that as an income stream for her, and so that's been really cool too, just to see that.
Wow.
Branching out, so it's not just about having your show on the internet where we're all. I mean, I don't know where you're all located except for you, Tom and Yvonne. I know you're in Denver. I'm in Los Angeles. So we're all over the place. But to really be able to go beyond that, take a live event and bring people in, I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I think that we'll definitely be thinking. But I'm thinking, Jim, I'm thinking about what you do, and I'm trying to imagine in my mind, if you're not with me in my house with my dog, really, how do you facilitate that?
Well, what we do is there are a lot of dog behavior problems that kind of fit the criteria for hangout use, and some of them might be house soiling, separation anxiety, destructive chewing, and a whole host of adolescent dog problems. And John Rogerson, a world-renowned behaviorist, probably said it the best. And he said sometimes getting a companion dog becomes the very source of our dog behavior problems. Now, as an example, somebody that loves and dotes on their dog a lot will cause that dog to miss their people when they're left alone at the house. And oftentimes then that produces house soiling issues or separation anxiety, because once you leave, the dog doesn't know how to cope with his alone time. And so this gets back to what I was saying earlier about it truly is a function of the environment and the relationship that a dog or puppy has with its owners. And so when you start doting on your dog and loving on your dog a lot, you might want to think about that, because too much love and affection is kind of like eating ice cream. Sooner or later it's going to bite you in the butt. So, so do it in moderation.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So Leila, when you talk to people, do you immediately say or introduce the concept of Google Hangouts?
I don't immediately do it. It kind of depends on what they're saying to me and where they are and how severe the problem is, because I can always get Jim on a hangout in the evening once he gets home faster than I can usually get him to people. But because it's so new, I like to talk to them first and kind of get a comfort level with them and have them understand that they can trust me and I know what I'm talking about. But I have to tell you a funny story. One lady said to me when I was talking about Hangouts, she says, "So he doesn't have to see my dog?" I said, "No, it's really concentrated on what you're doing." And then she said, "Does he need to see a picture of my dog?" And my first thought was, he's been to a psychic.
Oh, man.
So it's really interesting to hear people's reaction to it. But most people are extremely excited about it and just almost get giddy when they first get on the video with Jim, because it's like you're just sitting right across the table from me. So it's really a lot of fun.
Oh, wow. So Simone and Rachel, Simone, I want to ask you, when that was introduced to you, let's, do a hangout, did you even know what it was?
No, I had no idea what it was. I had found Jim through a neighborhood website called Nextdoor. I had a lot of recommendations for him, and I called, and Leila answered. And after we had talked for a while and I had told her what was going on in my house, she suggested it. And I, like that person, was wondering how in the world that was going to work, but came to find out, as Jim mentioned, that a lot of my dog problems were me problems.
Yeah, we hear that a lot, and I think all of us are guilty of it. So it isn't like a special thing that we're guilty of it in my house too. So Rachel, tell us a little bit about your experience with Hangouts then.
Well, we did kind of, like I said, since I did a schooling that we had, I read books, we had behavior questions and stuff like that, and we basically did hangout classrooms. So it was me and Jim, and there was one other girl, and, we could kind of ask each other questions, say things that we were having problems with, and it really was like just being in a classroom and having your teacher right in front of you, but, I'm sitting at home in my pajamas, so that was really nice.
So, Jim, I'm fascinated by the fact that what I'm hearing is kind of what I expected when I was introduced to the topic and the fact that you were going to speak, is that you were going to be helping us, we pet owners, improve the relationship so our dogs would behave better. But how long does that take? Is that a series of meetings on Hangouts? Is it an hour and a half? How does it work?
Well, the very first thing that we do is we get the owner, we email them a 3 or 4 page evaluation so that I get a complete history of the owners, their problems with their dogs, and how they've addressed those problems in the past. It addresses also their dog's temperament, personality, where their dogs sleep, their feeding routines, everything that you can imagine. And so once I get that complete picture, the very first thing that we do is we set up somewhere between 3 to 6 Hangouts. It all depends on the problem and severity, and we space them sometimes a week or 2 weeks apart. For example, like Simone, she has 4 dogs, and so she had a lot of work to do, and so a week between lessons probably wouldn't give her enough time to do all the homework. So on our first lesson, right before the first lesson, I email her a step-by-step lesson plan. And then we talk about that lesson plan. We talk about 3 aspects of the fix, basically. And the first one is structure in the home, which is really, really important, which most folks with dog problems don't have. We talk about obedience training and the value and merit of that. And then we also talk about exercises that you need to put your dogs through to work out the issues and problems that she first called about. So, and we break it down like that, and it's very detailed, and we spend time going over that. And sometimes a hangout is at least a minimum an hour, if not maybe an hour and a half on the first one, just to kind of go over everything. And then there's a series of emails, supports, and things like that in between the hangout lessons, or if need be, do another Google Talk or something like that. And the benefit of it is that while there's a lot of written information that I email to all of my clients, and there's a lot of dialogue on in-home lessons as well, along with that written information, the good thing about Google Hangouts is that it's saved to a YouTube video. So Simone here can go back and replay that video as many times as she likes so that she can make sure that she's doing the homework right and the lesson plan is in the sequence and order that it needs to be in.
So, go ahead, Leila.
And that's really important because it's such a big difference when Jim goes into a home. People are not recording it. They're listening to what he's saying. They're working hands-on with their dog. So with the Hangout, the beauty of it is they can go back and listen to that as many times as they want and hear every single thing that was said, because just like anything, you go, I don't remember him saying that. And so that's the beauty of it.
Yeah,
and I can do that too. Like I can go back to our videos and be able to see what we talked about. If I don't remember something that we might have said before, something that I learned, I can go back to a video and watch it again.
Yeah, that's really powerful. I think, people learn by repeating, and you can't, it's funny because during any conversation, everyone remembers it differently. So having that video is really a good support system. But I'm thinking about Google Hangouts, and Denise, there's so many different ways to use them. Jim and Leila couldn't have just sat down one day and said, okay, let's do Hangouts. You must have spent time. Did they talk to you about it, or have you heard other experiences where, this sounds to me, and we'll talk more with them about it, but it sounds to me like there was a lot of planning involved.
I did not consult with them. But I do consult with others. But yeah, you do need to plan, and you actually need to educate the people that come on to the Hangout, because, like the students have said, that if they have never been on a Hangout and they have no idea what it is, you also have, not only you have to educate them about what you're going to be meeting about. You have to tell them how to do it. You know, what kind of equipment they need, how it works, how to click, you know, what links to use, all that stuff. So, you know, there is an education process with this, and you know, that's the same with anything. This is a technology, but it's a great tool, and the learning curve, I think, is pretty short. Of course, y'all can, you know, say whether you feel that or not, but I think it's a pretty simple learning curve, and you know, once you get it down, then, you know, it works.
Yeah.
So, but you know, I really think that using the Google Hangout as a tool to work with your customers and clients is fantastic. I've moved all my client meetings to Hangouts.
Okay, that's what I was just going to ask. Is this now going to replace Skype?
No, I mean, they can if they want, but I like doing the Hangouts because we do have a video recording of it, and I also use private communities so that there's a community with just me and the client, and then we can have all of our conversations in there. So it's a self-contained private space on Google Plus where the videos reside and where our conversations reside. And with communities, you can also have categories. So, you know, my clients and I can work on, you know, they can ask me a question about X, and then we answer in X, and all the X questions are in that category. So it's a really clean, simple way to have connection with your clients and customers.
Wow. So Jim and Leila and even Simone and Rachel, you can all chime in, or one at a time, or just, you know, kind of help us understand. Yeah, here's a question. Let's go there first, but I'm going to get back to my question. But let's take care of some of the folks that are watching. Can you all see the question? Structure in the home, great point, Jim Burwell. Can you elaborate a little more, please? That's kind of where I was going, you know, about. So here we are. We have.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I can elaborate on that. Structure in the home is very specifically requiring your dog to sit for everything. They've got to sit for food, anything related to food, space, toys, love, and affection. And so, you know, dogs will come up and nudge you and want to be petted. And then if you give them a lot of free love and affection there by petting them every time they nudge, then that begins to allow them to think that they can manipulate the relationship. And so it's a very simple process of most people have taught their dogs to sit, so in some kind of a group class setting or something like that. And so if they just ask their dog to sit before they feed them, ask their dog to sit before they invite them up on the couch, same thing with toys and love and affection, things like that. So that's basically the structure that we're talking about.
Okay. Anyone else want to chime in on that?
I can chime in on that.
Go ahead, Simone.
Definitely, the structure thing was huge for me and my dogs. I immediately changed the way I was doing things and started the earning program, and it really calmed down the chaos in my house, and it's totally changed everything. Because my dogs did know how to sit, but they didn't sit to earn things, and they were all over the bed and sleeping with me and all that stuff. All that changed right away. Once I had structure, it really, really changed everything.
One thing that helps people kind of wrap their heads around it, because most of the people that call the office, generally speaking, they're women, and yeah, usually it's the women, because, you know, we're the ones that keep all the family stuff together.
Yeah,
and generally our clients are late 30s, early 40s, and so it's very easy for me to say an example of structure in the home is like how we were raised when we were children. We learned certain behaviors that they wanted the behavior in the house. And so we learned to ask for things nicely. We worked for things to get an allowance, and throwing a temper tantrum didn't get us anything. And when I phrase it that way so that they can understand it, and I say, when your dog works for you instead of you working for your dog, then things even out, and the light bulb kind of goes off, and they go, oh, okay, I got it.
Interesting. Rachel?
Yeah, I mean, I've already had people like at work, you know, fellow employees and stuff that have had problems with their dogs. And that's one of the first things I tell them too, is just, you know, get them to sit for everything. Dogs that we have in our group play that sometimes can be problem dogs. That's one of the things I tell the group play workers, you know, have them sit. Just every once in a while, just get them to sit, just to kind of remind them that, you know, the person is the one in charge and the dog isn't the one in charge.
Wow, it seems so like you should know that. But Jim, you know, before we get into some more of the behavioral things, maybe that I'm sure we're going to have more questions. I'm really interested in when you and Leila decided to do Hangouts. This is, in my mind anyway, a pretty non-traditional kind of a business to do a hangout for. Certainly if I'm a consultant on one thing or another, I can have meetings on Google Plus, and now I have a video, and I can build a library, and as Denise said, and she'll teach us some more about these communities, which are new to me, but here you are, you're a dog trainer. You generally see the pet parent with the pet. So when you decided, hey, this is a good idea, Leila came to you and said, this is a great idea, let's do it. How did you decide to create the materials, and what went into the thinking on that? How long did it take? Was it very elaborate?
Well, not really. And like Denise said, it's a really short learning curve for most folks. I have a Word doc that I just copy and paste all the steps, things that they should have, like they should have a webcam. They need a webcam. They need earbuds or a head mic like this. And we do a check on lighting and all of that stuff. And sometimes, like I've got a client in England that we're working on sibling rivalry with, that dog's fighting again. So it doesn't happen here in the States. It happens in the UK
everywhere,
as well.
Yeah.
And so we got them set up on it, and we sent them that, and they didn't have any problem with it at all. But you know, the other part of it, in addition to the just the technical aspects of it, I've already got lesson plans and handouts on every conceivable behavior problem that a dog could present to owners and trainers. And so when I send them that information, it's the same stuff that I would take in-home, in person, and give it to them there. I just email it to them instead. And the beauty is that the only thing that I really need is a motivated owner. And usually by the time they call, Leila gets the call at the office, they are they're angry enough, they're motivated, they're frustrated, they have been embarrassed by their dog, and so they are ready to work and change their relationship with their dog. And so by that time, Leila works her magic on the phone, and we do Hangouts. Now the other thing is that we have a lot of folks coming to our website all the time, reading my blogs, things like that, and they begin to want to connect with me either on the website or Facebook, and they're asking me all kinds of questions about their dog problems. And so most of those folks live out of city, out of state, and so it just makes it a perfect shoe-in to be able to say, okay, their problem fits our criteria for Hangouts. And so because if they've been coming to me on my website for months and months and following me, then there is a deeper interest in having me work with their dogs personally, and so that also helps to sell the hangout aspect too.
Right.
And that's where Leila does her thing. She's really good at pitching hangouts.
Yeah. Well, one of the things. Oh, I'm sorry, Denise. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that, I mean, this is a brilliant example of how you can expand your business.
Yes.
Because prior to this, you could only do local business, right? Jim and Leila? You know?
Right.
And now you can do business all over the world.
That's
I mean,
correct.
this to me is the most exciting thing, is that we're not limited to just who is in our neighborhood. We can have a global connection with people, who have that interest, that similar interest that we have, where we can solve their problem. We as whatever your business is, I haven't figured out one business that couldn't benefit from this, and we can help solve those problems, whether they're next door or halfway across the world. And this is just so exciting to me. I'm so glad to be,
Well, the
hearing
other
your
thing about
success
that,
with this. It's just really exciting to me.
well, the other thing about that I found is that once you overcome those geographical boundaries, two things happen. You get to help people all over the world, and then your income potential is just amazing.
Yeah. And the other thing is that, what I would like to see from you guys, if you are interested in it, is like starting a show of your own, because that can even open up things even further for the people who might not get to your blog or whatever. They might find you on Google Plus through the SEO capabilities of this very powerful site that we're on, and right there, by having a show and demonstrating what you do, I mean, you'd probably be backlogged with business.
Actually, that's next on our agenda.
It is. So, Jim,
Yeah.
So, Leila, are you promoting this heavily? Is this like we do Google Hangouts?
I do. I have a whole page on the website, and I always, at the end of our blog, I always have a call to action, and I send them to the page where we give all the services that we have. And then one of the things that I help people understand why this doesn't have to be difficult is we just make it as easy as possible. We help if they need a Google Gmail account, we explain how to get that set up, and then what we do so they don't have to worry about anything is we do exactly what you did, which was we email them the link to get into the video, and poof, they're there. So we keep it's so easy, and once they've done one, they're like, oh my gosh, it's addictive, I want to do more. They're so excited about it.
So do you agree, Rachel and Simone? Is it addictive?
Yeah, well, and it is very easy. Like where I work, we have cameras in some of the rooms, because I work at a kennel. We have cameras in some of the rooms where people can Skype their dogs and kind of watch them. And so I've tried doing Skype before, which was not easy, and I just kind of gave up on it. And then doing this was so simple that I actually suggested we should try that. Try doing Google Hangouts with their dogs.
So what was wrong with Skype?
It just seemed kind of difficult. I hate going and having to put a whole bunch of information about myself on things.
Okay.
And it was just difficult to kind of get into.
It's also not as stable of a platform as Google is.
We do have a lot of problems with Skype.
Yeah.
It's just not as stable. I mean, look, you've got the power of Google behind it. It's
That's right. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Well, it's interesting to me, I think, because there's so many different things technology-wise that small business and entrepreneurs can do that they don't know about or they're afraid of.
Right.
So I think sometimes my experience is we'll mention Google Plus or we'll mention Hangouts, and people are like, they don't say no, but they kind of shy away from it. They think it's going to be difficult. They don't have a Google Plus account, and they think having a Google Plus account is going to be difficult. So there is a bit of a learning curve. I agree, Denise. It's not a huge learning curve, but I'm really interested in hearing more as we go on about the process and the uniqueness of this. And it looks like Tom put up a question. How would a blogger apply Hangouts to their blog? I'll let Denise pick up on that.
Well, I'm going to assume that the blog is affiliated or associated with your business, because that's where I come from, is that business blogging, as Yvonne knows. And any time that you can have a much more intimate connection with your audience, and your blog readers are your audience, you bring them closer to you. And if you have a product or service that's, again, that is associated with your blog, then you make it a lot easier to build that know, like, and trust factor, which I'm sure you've heard about, and creating that intimate connection. So like, here I am, I'm sitting in Los Angeles, I'm looking straight into my camera, so it's like I'm looking straight at you.
Right.
You know,
right.
Whoever is on the other side of that camera, and we're having a connection here because you can see my eyes, you can see me moving around, you can see my excitement, you can hear my tonality. So when you can bring that to your audience, they just start, you know, getting closer to you. So then when it's time for you to say, hey, I've got a training course for you, I just published my book, whatever it is that you do, whatever that thing is that you have, you've now built up loyal fans. And they're going to want to support you because now they know you, they hear you, they see you, especially on a regular basis. So if you're looking at incorporating Google Hangouts into your business, and I would say, you know, creating a show. So there's something that's consistently happening, like what BlogPaws is doing. It's beautiful. You know, I love seeing that you guys are doing this. You're also bringing new people to Google Plus, by the way. So I really appreciate that. But
yeah. Well, you know, I think, Denise, you're so right. But I also think that for some of my bloggers who haven't yet started a business, they're still thinking about, how do I turn this work that I do online into a business, which is part of what BlogPaws is about.
Right.
I think that having conversations on Google Plus with other members in their community to talk, pick a topic, have a conversation, start showing the world that you not only have something to write about, but you have something to say, in being able to introduce yourself exactly face to face and build a relationship. Look at what Jim and Leila are doing. It's not just promoting themselves and their business, it's actually forming relationships because there they are. We're looking at them, we're talking to them.
And you know, a blogger who doesn't necessarily have something, you know, that's an income stream, you can do Q&As with your readers.
Right.
You know, that's a great way to start, because you don't want to sell something right away anyway.
No.
You know, when you're first connecting with people, and exactly what you're saying, you want to build a relationship, and this is a really fast track to that relationship. I have a show called Adventures in Visibility, and I've been doing it for about almost a year and a half now. I don't sell anything on my show. I bring in experts on building visibility, and we share some content that's going to help the audience in some way build their presence on the web. I'm not selling anything. I don't promote their products at the end. I might ask them what they're doing or that sort of thing.
Right.
But it's a way that people can just get that closer connection, and that's what it's really about.
Yeah, I really recommend. So, for instance, with Jim and Leila, in the early days of blogging and consulting, I used to tell all my small clients, make friends with someone who sells something that's tangential to what you have. So, if you're an author, make friends with a coffee house. And then today you could have a hangout at the coffee house to talk about your book.
Exactly.
So think creatively, right? I mean, Jim and Leila, you've been very creative in how you're managing and doing a dog training business on Google Hangouts. What other ideas have you come up with?
I'll let Leila expand on that. She's the brains.
Thank you. Well, actually, right now we're working on doing a online course, but what we're going to do on helping fix dog behavior. But what we're going to do is we're going to have it as a live course initially done with Google Hangouts, and it will be over like a couple of classes. It'll be probably 4 or 5 weeks long with a class every week, and we haven't flushed it out exactly, but it will be live with people in the film strip. So there's a lot of back and forth. They bring their specific questions. So it's basically a personalized group class, and then we're just going to repurpose that. So that's one of the things that we're going to be doing, some more things with Hangouts.
Yeah, and that's a key word there, repurpose. Repurposing content. we're doing a lot of that. And so Leila, because you're the brains, it certainly sounds like you're very creative. I'm not sure what you did in your corporate life, but we women, we have to be creative, correct?
Correct.
So when you saw the possibility of Hangouts, how long did it take you to start thinking of other ways to use it?
5 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, when I first got on Google Plus and I started making friends with people, and I have to tell you that I adore Google Plus for meeting people that I never would have gotten the chance to meet before. But there's so many intelligent conversations going on and so many creative people that my mind just starts like powerhousing through it, and all this stuff comes up. It's like, oh, we could do this, and oh, we could do that. And it's just, I don't know, it's just so much fun. I just love it.
It sounds like, so Rachel and Simone, I'm going to kind of come over to you, because what I'm hearing Leila say is Google Plus is a really great way to make friends, and it's a little bit more effective maybe than that other tool we use that limits what we can say. What do you think about that? Rachel?
Well, yeah, that's always nice. I mean, be able to see someone and talk to them, face to face, and like talking on the phone, or going on sites like Facebook and stuff where you can't really see them. You can build, like Denise was saying earlier, a much better relationship with someone when you can kind of see their face, and it's just so easy to do the Hangout. It's not difficult. All you need is the Gmail. So
yeah.
The other thing too is that you get to build a certain amount of credibility too, face to face, and build a certain trust. I think you can always do it better face to face on Google Plus versus typing out something.
I agree.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up. Oh, sorry.
All right, go ahead, Denise.
This comment from Heather. Going back to, getting people set up to be able to use Google Plus. And she says that if people have a YouTube account, and most do, they already have a G Plus account, but they don't know it yet. So it's often much easier than people think to get set up because they already are.
That's really powerful. So, for BlogPaws in our community, this is something we should be making sure people know.
That's right.
Yeah, so Simone, you didn't get to chime in. Do you feel you have a better relationship with Jim and being able to learn how to take better care of your dogs because of Google Plus?
Oh yeah, it's amazing, because being able to have him right there and all his experience, because pretty much anything you ask him, he already, like he said, he's got tons of articles about everything. So I think it's amazing, and like that last person's comment, I did not know that I had that stuff. I am the least technical person in the entire world, and I have found this to be really awesome and very simple.
And do you now use it for anything else?
Oh, no, not yet.
Not yet.
No, not yet.
I would like to say also that I got a chance to meet Simone through Hangouts and in person, and I got a new friend, and I never would have met her without that.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just a powerful thing that we have the great technology of a Google Hangout and helping us not only in our business, but it also does bring us together face to face. I mean, BlogPaws is all about that. People think we're just about pets and this and blogs and whatnot, but we're really about bringing people together, because when we have people in the same place together who've been doing something like a Google Hangout or maybe reading each other's blogs, suddenly meet face to face, it's just a phenomenal experience, isn't it? Even the Google Hangouts where I'm here and I'm talking with you, someday we're going to meet together at a conference somewhere, and it's just going to be fabulous. We're going to be able to sit down and just carry on as if we're on Google Plus, because it's a people thing. Yeah. Well, it comes right down to small businesses, especially, need to make friends with their clients and customers. They need to be approachable, and they need to have what do I want to say? They need to show some professionalism, but it needs to be the, here I am, I'm here to talk with you. I'm not going to set up this front so that I have someone else speaking for me. It's me. Here I am. I'm talking with you. And that's what you do, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
And so do you have a lot of clients that you do this with on Google+?
Yes, I would say we have. We're just starting this, and so I'd like to think that we got the jump the gun on this deal, and so we're just getting started, and we've probably, gee whiz, I would say probably a couple of dozen clients.
Wow.
That we've got started, and we used to do telecoaching. And so that was before we found out about Google Plus, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, Google Plus has got to be that's the answer right there. It's like I'm right here.
So Jim, let me ask you, would you ever do group training? Is that possible? 3 or 4 people?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's going to be our little kind of pet project that Leila mentioned earlier about a kind of a comprehensive behavioral fix. Everybody that's got the same problem, like house soiling or separation anxiety, or you pick a behavior that's very common and typical, and then you've got the whole world, and so to choose from. They all, about a half a dozen of them, come into the film strip here, and we talk about their problem. They all have something in common. Not to mention, they get to meet each other on the Hangout.
Yeah.
And we all problem solve. And so, and everybody can feed off of each other. They can also get together amongst themselves and chat about what I said in the Hangout. And so there's all kinds of different options there before we get back to our next Google Hangout class. And so we'll give them the homework to do and all of that kind of stuff. And everybody will be held accountable just like in a real live in-home session. So that's going to be really cool.
Oh, wow. So Denise,
yeah.
How many people do you think a company or a small business could do a Google Hangout with?
Well, you can to have people in the film strip like we are, down below.
Right.
You can have a maximum of 10.
Oh, okay.
Including yourself. Whoever, but you can have an unlimited audience on the outside. So we could have, 10,000 people watching this right now, but the max would be 10 that are participating in the video. I just want to also piggyback a little bit on what Jim said, and I recently have moved all my masterminding programs to Google Hangouts versus the phone, and it changed the dynamic so incredibly much when everybody could be seeing each other on video. To go from audio where you could only hear and you could be doing other things and not paying attention and doing your email, to being face to face, completely changed the dynamic of the masterminds. And then when we had in-person retreats, there was none of that, we have to get to know each other. It was just like old home week. You just go up and give everybody a hug. I mean, just totally changed it. So doing.
And so how many do you have in your mastermind groups?
Typically between 4 and 8.
So say again, because you broke up a little.
Sorry, between 4 and 8.
4 and 8. Okay. Yeah. So because that was something that I've been thinking as we're talking here is, sure, you have unlimited ability to have 10,000 people in your audience, but how would you manage that if 100 of them were asking questions?
Right.
So I think that it bears some exploration and thinking about, for your particular business or whatever you're doing, how many do you think you really need or want? Maybe you want to do Hangouts with a limited number of 20 people or something, 5 or 10 people, as you said, in the film strip, who are going to be the experts participating, and then have your audience be smaller so that you can give them one-on-one attention. Would you say, Jim, that one-on-one attention is pretty important?
Absolutely. So we would, to start off with, I think we'd like to just maybe do 3 or 4 just to get our feet wet. It doesn't make sense to do, a full 9 people in the film strip and us us there too. So that might just be overwhelming for
Sure.
us, and then we couldn't produce. So
Sure.
we're going to start off small and just make it really work and be very successful, and then the word spreads, and there you go.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. So Tom, we had a question early on. There's one there now, but I know there was an early on too. Yes, he said pet project, and we're going to talk about that. But what was the early on question? Didn't we have a question early on? I don't want to lose
Somebody
that
asked
one.
a question
yeah,
about
it was
dog.
about
There
the
it
dog
is.
park.
Yeah.
Yeah. What you consider an ideal dog park?
Well, an ideal dog park for me, number one, the very number one concern would be safety for people and dogs. And so there's probably a city ordinance that requires any dog park, if it's a city dog park, to post rules and regulations about shots and things like that, and no aggressive dogs and neuter spay. Also, separating large dogs from small dogs is another biggie. And kind of a side thing would be to have plenty of shade and water for dogs. So we've got to think about that, especially these hot summer days in Houston. We've got to have shade for people and for pets. And then the other thing too is, as you begin to leave the dog park and they've been in the pool, in the mud, and you don't want them to load up in your car like that,
Yeah.
it'd be good to have a water spigot with a hose, and then where you could hose your dog off, shampoo them, and I think most dog parks have that. So so that would be kind of like the added bonus right there.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I saw a new product out there that's a leash that's also a hose. And you just hook it up, and so you don't have to worry about
next.
you don't have to worry about the dog park doing it. But that's interesting. And yeah, so I didn't want to lose that question, but so Denise, I think with the Google Hangouts and the things that we're learning, they're really available and a big opportunity for even a solopreneur.
Yes.
I mean,
Absolutely. I'm a solopreneur.
yes. Well, we're not solopreneurs at BlogPaws, but we started out that way.
Yeah.
And I can just imagine the wonderful things we could do if we'd had Google Hangouts. So what we're talking about today actually is the fact that maybe Denise, but I'm sure Jim and maybe Leila will remember the days when people talked about having video phones and we never believed it would happen. Is this it? Are we there?
I think we're there. I mean, you could do a hangout on your phone.
You can.
Yeah.
Have you done any?
Out of necessity, I have. Once I got dropped off of one of my hangouts, and I couldn't log back in fast enough on my computer, so I just went onto my phone and went into it, and I was just holding it up. It wasn't the most attractive way to do it, but I wanted to keep going.
Another use of our smartphones. Wow.
Yeah, the other thing about that is, I might add that with phones and iPads, you can just flip it around and say, hey, what do you think about my dog doing this? So, the husband could be working the dogs, and I can look at furniture placement and placement in the house. So, that's real flexible.
That's great.
Yeah.
So we're getting close to the end, and I really want to thank all of you. This has been so informative. We've learned a lot about dogs and some of the problems and how to fix them. Thank you, Jim and Leila, for that. Simone and Rachel, thank you for coming and helping us understand how something so unique and interesting as a dog trainer could actually be on Google Hangouts. And Denise, always a pleasure. Always hope to have you back again. Let's sign off, and I'm going to ask each of you to tell me what your pet project is today. So Denise, what is your pet project right now?
Right now, my pet project is that I am preparing to lead a course in Google Plus 101. And so if you want to feel like signing up, I'm going to be talking about how to optimize your profile and how to get people in your circles and all that, because a lot of people have questions about that and they think, I don't want to be on another platform, but to me this is I'm a Google fangirl. What can I say?
Yeah, well, you send us that information so we will get it out, because the BlogPaws community will want to know about that.
Okay, sure.
So Jim, you're up next. What's your pet project?
Well, my pet project next is to do a Google Hangout to begin to test our comprehensive package and getting people together and to kind of connect with people, build relationships, and also build the credibility, get that face-to-face contact with people, and have them on in the film strip to chat about problems and how they can be resolved on a Google Hangout.
Excellent. Let us know about that. Can't
All
wait
right.
to hear more about it. Leila, you have some really great ideas. What's your pet project?
My pet project, along with Jim, is to really hunker down and get that online class put together, which will include 4 or 5 people, and we'll work on dog behavior and give them the skill set that they need to correct their own dog's behavior. So we're really looking forward to that. Kind of nervous about it, but we're very excited about it also.
Good nervous, kind of, you know?
Good nervous.
It'll be a success, I have no doubt. Rachel, tell us what your pet project is.
Well, right now I'm just kind of trying to get started myself as a trainer up at this resort, trying to start kind of building my own business. And who knows, maybe one day I'll kind of take a lot of what Jim and Leila are doing and using Hangouts to do other people, you know, across the country and across the world. That would just be awesome. But
It would.
that'll probably be a few years down the road when I've got some experience under my belt.
Well, excellent, excellent. So, Simone, you're up last, but not least, and tell us your pet project.
Well, my pet project is to continue with my dog training and continue on with being able to, thankfully, thanks to Jim, keep my family together.
Oh, that's great. That is so great. Yes, I'm glad to hear that. Now, I hope you'll all stop over at the BlogPaws site and join the community and lend your voice to some of what is happening there. It's all about pets, and, you know, it's just chatter, and some of it is helpful. Some of it, people will have questions, and you might be able to answer them, but we invite you. We would love to see you in the BlogPaws community. So I want to thank you very much for tonight's Hangout, and we look forward to seeing you online.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.